I'm back. Oh, oh. God. Ow.
Don't ask me questions, 'cause I'm tired of confessing, and I know that it's not.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Mr. Mixmedia, and welcome to a bit of a countdown that I decided to do to basically omit some feelings I have for some games. Welcome to my top 6 games of 2016. Now, before I get started, I would like to add a couple of honorable mentions to the list. Two in particular, Quantum Break and Watch Dogs 2. Two really good games that just, I didn't exactly play enough of to get a full opinion on, or I just kind of omitted them for the sake of having a more concise list rather than having add-ons that I didn't exactly care to have on the list. With that said, let's get into it. Did you ever have a game company that you heard really good things about, but you never really tried one of their games because it didn't exactly interest you, until one particular game pops up that catches your interest? And that was the deal with me, Blizzard, and Overwatch.
It's pretty much a miracle that Overwatch ended up on here in the first place, because in the time leading up to its release, the whole controversy over Tracer's butt pose actively made me boycott it. But I eventually caved and bought it, and was pleasantly surprised with one of the most engaging, funny, and charming multiplayer experiences released this year. With an extensive and enjoyable cast of characters, the only thing that hurt Overwatch for me was some poor balancing. But even then, I still returned to Overwatch in hopes of mastering some of the characters, and to just have a good time. This even has me interested in what they can do to expand Overwatch with a potential sequel or DLC. Let's just hope that this game can hold me for a while longer.
I just got done with my history class a while ago in school, and I didn't exactly pay attention to most of it, but what I did like was hearing about some epic, intense battles, specifically some of the battles that took place during World War I.
I saw movies such as Enemy at the Gates and Saving Private Ryan in my history class, and Battlefield 1 feels like somebody took those movies, processed them through a machine, and made one of the best experiences with the First World War I've had. It was a beautiful, atmospheric, and epic game made even better by the excellent sound design and maps. It was only let down by a few bad modes and some questionable hit detection at times. However, with all of its flaws, it still remained an enjoyable FPS game to the end. I'll still go back to immerse myself in a time of war and guns anytime soon.
In some cases, making a sequel can be very, very tricky. You have to build upon, improve, and fix what didn't work with the original game. Some sequels do it horribly wrong, other sequels do it right.
When Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was announced, I wasn't excited at all, and when I ended up picking it up out of the intent of playing it with a friend, it was probably the most average game I've played in a while, or at the very least it sure as hell felt like it. But thanks to Respawn Entertainment, I don't think I'll be going back to Infinite Warfare in a while. Titanfall 2 is the textbook example of how to make a sequel. Improve and expand on what worked in the first game, along with the seamless free-running mechanic and one of the best FPS campaigns I've played this year. Titanfall 2 is one of the most enjoyable games I played in 2016. I still hope to team up with my Titan and roll out soon.
I've never been a fan of story-driven games. Mostly, I need good gameplay to get me engaged, and if you don't have that, well, then I'm often going to get bored. But one game this year in particular did catch my eye, mostly like the spark of a fire.
The best indie game I played in years, Firewatch was an amazing game from the moment I started it up. The environments are some of the most gorgeous I've ever seen in a video game, but it was certainly helped by the absolutely amazing sound design and voice acting. The voice acting in Firewatch is some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in a video game. It just feels so real and believable. I actually felt compelled to continue just to hear what entertaining conversations the two main characters, Henry and Delilah, would have next. It was a bit short on interactivity, but it honestly didn't dampen the experience of the game one bit. If you want an amazing game that'll make you laugh, cry, or maybe something else in between, I encourage you to play Firewatch.
People often use the phrase, go to hell, as some sort of, excuse to get their anger out on a person and just insult them really badly. For me, I see it as a bit of an invitation for some fun.
Sometimes violence is just flat out fun. The first two Doom games are some of my favorite old school shooters, and Doom 3 was alright, but Doom 2016 was the pinnacle of the FPS genre for me this year. There was really never a moment this year where I felt so immersed in a grueling epic battle against the literal forces of hell. This is some of the best level design I've ever seen in an FPS game. Most of the levels are designed with the intention to explore, find secrets, and kill hundreds of demons. With no weapon reloading, controls as smooth as silk, the amazing soundtrack, and some of the most classic weapons in video game history making a return, in particular the BFG, Doom was the best FPS game I played all year, no question about it. But there was one game in particular that beat it out by just a tiny bit.
Sometimes a game is very flawed, and sometimes you realize it has flaws, and on the other hand, you really have bias for a series, and that you really like the game, and that you had a lot of fun with it overall, and those flaws quickly get overruled by the fun that you had. That was the case with me this year, and Dead Rising 4.
On one hand, this might be a bit of bias, but on the other hand, Dead Rising 4 was the most fun I had with any game out of the entire year. The return of Frank West felt like the shining beacon of light in a series that I didn't expect to have a sequel this good, let alone in 2016. It doesn't really beat out Dead Rising 3 for me, but it certainly came close with the dozens of weapon combinations to make the inventive environments and the atmosphere that actually made me feel like I was in the middle of a real city with a huge mall, all ready for the holidays, all of a sudden hit by a zombie outbreak. I certainly hope the series continues on, but with the poor reception of the game received by some people, it's certainly hard to tell. Either way, Dead Rising 4 takes the cake as my favorite game of 2016.
So that was my top 6 games of 2016. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to have a review out for Kubo and the Two Strings as soon as I can. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. So, if you liked the video, just comment about it, tell me what you thought of it, how I can improve my countdowns, and subscribe if you're new so you don't miss out on my videos. Now, with that being said, this has been Mr. Mixed Media, and I will see all of you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next video. Bye-bye!
Kiss me.